So, rounding off what's been a really busy 5 days pretty much of football match reactions, we have the reaction to the final Scottish Premiership game or Scottish football game that was on TV for this week. We have Motherwell 0, Celtic 3, which sees Celtic respond to Aberdeen laying down the gauntlet and going 3 points clear at the top to going back to the top of the table themselves, which sees Wednesday be very interesting now. With if Celtic can get the job done against Dundee, they know that either they're going to go 3 points clear, 1 point clear, or they're going to be 9 points clear of who most people would say would be their closest rivals in Rangers. But then obviously if they go 9 points clear of Rangers, then Aberdeen will also be 9 points clear of Rangers as well. But without any doubt, Wednesday night is a very, very interesting occasion. Who knows, Dundee could take something off Celtic and throw a spanner in the works. But what we'll do just now is we'll get to the player ratings for today's game between Motherwell and Celtic. Starting off, as always, with the home side, Oxborough in goals. I thought he had a very good game overall. Obviously, he concedes 3 goals, but it could have been more. He made some big saves at big times, sometimes consecutively as well. So I am going to go for a 7 out of 10 for him, despite the fact that he did concede 3 goals. I think he's a massive upgrade on Liam Kelly. Obviously, some Rangers fans might disagree with him being second choice there now, but if you go and look at the statistics last season in terms of save percentages, Liam Kelly practically cost Motherwell top 6. They were the high, as I was mentioned on Sky Sports today as well. They were the highest scoring team outside of Celtic and Rangers last season. It was their defence that caused them the issues, and mostly Liam Kelly. He was just very poor in goals for Motherwell last season. So I think it's no coincidence that they find themselves higher up the table with a better goalkeeper in goals. So 7 out of 10 for Oxborough. Stephen O'Donnell, I think he was very lucky not to give away a penalty, personally. I do think that the incident with Dyson Maeda is a penalty, and I don't think he looked all that great in the game either, to be honest. You could argue that he's a right back playing centre half, but according to what I've heard, he's supposed to be familiar with that position as well. So based off that, I am going to go for a 5 out of 10 for Stephen O'Donnell today. Liam Gordon, he would have had a higher rating than what he was going to get. However, he got himself needlessly sent off towards the end of the game. It's a pretty horrific challenge on Adamida. When you looked at it in real time, it didn't look too bad. You thought the booking was probably fair, but as soon as you seen it slowed down, that was that. It was probably similar to the Lundstrom red card in the Celtic and Rangers game last season, where probably a yellow on first looking, but then as soon as you see the replay, you realise actually that's going to be a red card. So I have to go for probably a 3 out of 10 for Liam Gordon based off that. Balmer, I think out of the centre halves, I think he was probably the brightest, so I will go for a 6 out of 10 for him, despite the fact that Luke McCowan does stick it through his legs for the first goal of the game. It ricochets, and you could argue that's a wee bit lucky, but I thought overall he was the best of the centre halves today, so a 6 out of 10 for him. Coletta in the first 20 minutes, when there was that little spell for Motherwell, I thought he looked pretty good in carrying the ball forward. Afterwards, like a lot of the team, he fell off a little bit, so I am going to go for a 6 out of 10 for him as well. Ewan Wilson, I think a 5.5 for him's fair. I think he had a tough time in his duels against James Forrest. James Forrest was bringing him on the inside a lot, and there was a lot of joy for Alistair Johnson down that side. So I think a 5.5 out of 10 for Ewan Wilson is a fair score for him today. Lennon Miller, going to go for... I mean, he would have had an excellent rating had his 2 efforts that had hit the woodwork gone in. Out with that, I thought he had some good moments on the ball, especially in the first half. Second half, it was just really tough for Motherwell overall. So I am going to go for a 6.5 out of 10 for Lennon Miller. I don't think I can give him the same rating or higher as Oxborough, because he did keep the scoreline down in the end. Lennon Miller had an excellent start to the game, but like most of the Motherwell team, petered off for the rest of the game. So a 6.5 out of 10 for Lennon Miller. Devore, not even going to try the second name, sorry guys, but I do think he was pretty poor today, to be fair, even when Motherwell were having their spell at the beginning of the game. So I'm going to go for a 5 out of 10 for him. Andy Halliday kind of had a bit of a nothing performance, didn't really do anything wrong on the ball, just kind of fed it to someone else whenever he was on the ball. So I'm going to go for a 5.5 for Andy Halliday today. Tom Sparrow, pretty non-existent, to be honest. I think a 4.5 out of 10 would probably be fair. I don't think he had any sort of impact on the game whatsoever, in any fairness. And if you think I wasn't trying the other name, you're having a laugh if you think I'm going to go for this one. So I'm going to go for Apostolos. There we go, that's it. Not even attempting the second name. He had a slice at the ball at one point. That was about it. Didn't really see much of him. Still trying to get back into the swing of things, I think, after he picked up that injury early in the season. But I'm going to go for a 5 out of 10 for him today. On to the Celtic team, Kasper Schmeichel. In the first half, he had a couple of times where he gathered the ball, but he didn't have a great deal to do today. Another clean sheet for him. Distribution, though, I thought was very good from him at points, so I am going to go for a 6.5 out of 10 for him. I don't feel I can rate him any higher than that because he wasn't particularly troubled. Alistair Johnson, candidate for man of the match for me, took the captain's armband from Callum McGregor's absence, scores a really good header, really good and composed on the ball, so I think an 8.5 out of 10 is a fair score for Alistair Johnson today. Austin Trusty, not quite as imperious as he was against Atalanta, but I thought he played alright today as well. And actually, when Alex Valle gets subbed off, he does get to play a little bit in his natural position next to Carter Vickers. That's a decision that Brendan Rodgers will have to make on Wednesday night, who he starts next to Carter Vickers, or he very well might not start Carter Vickers and try and manage the injury. Further so that he doesn't end up out for longer periods of time. But I think a 7 for Austin Trusty today is a fair score. Liam Scales, I thought he got slightly more involved in the game, whether they were trying to attack that side more, and he did play left back for the last part of the game. I am going to go for a 7.5 for Liam Scales today. I thought he got a wee bit more involved than Austin Trusty did, so I think a 0.5 rating is deserved. Alex Valle, I said in the Atalanta one, he just seems to keep getting better and better, and I think this was his best performance in a Celtic shirt so far. Excellent assist for Alistair Johnson, and that is a headache now for Brendan Rodgers to decide what to do now that Greg Taylor is back and available. I'm going to go for an 8 out of 10 for Alex Valle today. Luke McCowan gets his first start for Celtic and he scores. He was desperate to get that goal. He was having efforts in the first half. I thought his range of passing was good. He kept possession well. And I think an 8 out of 10 for Luke McCowan is a fair one as well. Another candidate for man of the match. I am going to put him slightly lower than Johnson, though, because I think Johnson, for me, is probably my man of the match for today. Paolo Bernardo, he was playing the Callum McGregor role, so he was a wee bit deeper, not something that he's used to doing, and I thought he did it relatively well. It took him a wee while to grow into the game because of it, but I think a 7 out of 10 is fair for his performance today, especially since he was playing in a position unfamiliar to himself. Rio Hatate, he was pinging balls left, right and centre. He had a couple of efforts on goal. Not his finest performance in a Celtic shirt, but he sets a high bar when it comes to that. So again, a 7 out of 10 for Rio Hatate. James Forrest, as I said, he was giving Hugh Wilson trouble when he was coming on the inside, linking up play well. Didn't get a goal or an assist today, but I still think it was a pretty solid performance from James Forrest. So again, I'm going to go for a 7 out of 10 for James Forrest. Kyogo, he doesn't really get too many touches of the ball in games. He had one really good moment with his feet where he forced a really good save from Oxborough. Other than that, not too much to mention from him from the game, so I am going to go for a 6 out of 10 for Kyogo. Today, I think if Oxborough wasn't on top form, he maybe would have scored that today, but it is what it is. 6 out of 10 for Kyogo. Daisen Maeda looked a wee bit more like himself in this game, I think. He was hitting the byline quite a few times, sending the ball across. Probably unlucky not to win his side a penalty as well. So I'm going to go for a 6.5 out of 10 for Daisen Maeda. Now on to the substitutes, and for similar to what I did with the Dundee United subs, Tawanda, Tony Watt, Dan Casey, Moses Abaye, and Zach Robinson. I'm all going to give them all 3.5s out of 10. I don't think they had any heavy impacts at all coming off the bench. At that point, the game's gone when they all come on, really. So, and Tony Watt getting played out wide was an interesting one when he doesn't have that pace anymore. So 3.5 out of 10 for all of the Motherwell subs. On to the first of the Celtic subs, Cameron Carter-Vickers, obviously coming back from injury, marshalled the game well when he came on, I felt, took the captain's armband off Alistair Johnson. I think a 4.5 out of 10 is fair for Carter-Vickers. Nicholas Kuhn rested after he put a lot in against Atalanta, and he comes off the bench and gets a really good assist for the Adam Ida goal, so with that in mind, I'm going to give him a 6.5 out of 10. Arne Engels, as much as he didn't get involved in the goals, I thought he looked sprite when he came on, like he had a point to prove with what's been said in the media about him, and he looked athletic when coming on as well. By no means a bad performance, but I am going to go for a 4.5 out of 10 as well, because like I say, with substitutes, it's hard to score them high unless they directly impact the game in some way. Adam Ida gets his goal, and fingers crossed it's not a bad injury, the ankle injury that he could potentially have after that challenge at the end of the game, but he scored a goal, so I'm also going to go for a 6.5 out of 10. I would have gone for a 7, but he should have an assist as well. Maybe not so much his fault, but we'll get to that in a second. And Luis Palma, I'm going to go for a 5 out of 10. He got himself in good positions, but he really should score a goal to make it 4-0, and he put it into the side netting. So a 5 out of 10 for Luis Palma. On to the ratings for the managers now. Stuart Kettlewell. First half, I thought he did well to try and frustrate Celtic at times and create some chances. Second half, I don't know if it was tiredness or what. Questionable with some of the positions that some of the players were getting asked to play in. What I will say is Motherwell have been one of the worst stricken clubs with injuries this season, so he's trying to put square pegs into round holes at times. I do think that out of a lot of the teams, Motherwell play some of the best football. Whether or not they've got the players to do that successfully, I don't know, but when you consider the fact as well that they've lost not only their top goal scorer from last season, but their most creative player with Blair Spittle and Theo Bair, I think he's doing a good job overall with them. However, on today's showing, I'm going to go for a 6 out of 10 for Stuart Kettlewell. And Brendan Rodgers managed the European fixture well, of course, and then managed today's fixture well with resting players, giving other players a chance, and it was a solid performance from Celtic today. So I am going to go for an 8 out of 10 for Brendan Rodgers. I do think that it wasn't exactly perfect in the first half, so that docks a couple of points. However, second half it was controlled really well. The substitutes, most of them made an impact positively as well, and the changes he made to the team to freshen it up a bit as well, given the amount of games that have been played, also worked too. So an 8 out of 10 for Brendan Rodgers. And that brings us to the end of this week's Scottish Club fixtures. Of course, we'll be back next week with the Aberdeen Rangers game on Wednesday. And then, of course, we've got the League Cup semi-finals coming up that are going to be on TV as well, between Rangers and Motherwell and Celtic and Aberdeen. Also, looking to get tomorrow the next episode of the SPFL RTG up, where a little spoiler for that if you're still listening, we've gotten a player in our Foot Champs rewards that is worth over 1 million coins. Very good reward for playing with such a different team, I suppose. So if you are new around here, please like, subscribe, and if that's something you'd like to do is go for the SPFL RTG, then have a look at that as well. I'm also in the process of planning some other videos for the channel too, a bit of variety. Some of it will be FIFA based, some of it not, but we shall see how it ends up going. I'll catch you later on.